This is the No Face Movement, and it's January the 29th, 2018. We got a couple more videos after this. That's all going to be in the same kind of entity. All right, we're going to explain, we're going to show you guys the truth of what's really going on. All right, but before we get into that, we're going to talk about warnings and watches for World War III. All right, because we're on the brinks of it. All right, in this video, we are going to show you the similarities of Vladimir Putin and Adolf Hitler. All right, history is very important. All right, you learn a lot of stuff in history. Things that were successful in history, commanders and generals reused in future wars. And that is what Putin is doing and pulling out playbooks out of Nazi Germany, Adolf Hitler's playbooks. Okay, we're going to show you the links. All right, so first we're going to start off with this. During the Cold War, when there was an arm race, Russia owned all the lands up all the way up to and all the way into Eastern Europe, but all the way up to Western Germany, Estonia, Crimea, all of them, about 12, 13 countries. They got dysfunctional after the Cold War, became independent countries, and they became NATO allies. All right, that's how NATO got started, from the Cold War. All right, simple as that. All right, but during the Cold War, Russia funded North Korea. Till this day, Vladimir Putin's Russia funds North Korea with their new missiles. North Korea got all their supplies during the Cold War because Russia was backing North Korea while we were backing South Korea. All right, to this day, it's going on. We back South Korea, and Russia still, even though it says that they don't back North Korea, but we know they back North Korea. Just like China backs North Korea. All right, now, the wall. What I'm calling the wall is North Korea for the Pacific Ocean. After World War II, Japan got disarmed, and to this day, Japan has a small army that is weak compared to North Korea and a lot of different Asian countries because of World War II. All right. So in the north, where North Korea is, they're launching missiles and testing ballistic missiles into the Japan Ocean constantly, month after month, a couple times, sometimes last year, month. All right. And if you go to the South China Sea, all right, China's having distributions and building their army and taking over islands that Japan is claiming. All right, and there's a lot of tension down there. So when our Navy used to be spread all throughout the Pacific, it's now narrowed down because North Korea in the north is launching missiles, and down in the South China Sea, there's a lot of hostility, and China warns the United States, don't come this way, all that BS. You're writing all that. And even last summer, we've seen a couple Navy boats colliding into each other because they're in small proximity of what's going on in the Pacific Ocean. All right. And this all has to relate to North Korea, Russia, and China. All right. The building up. All right. So now we're going to make what's going on. All right. The UK. All right. General Sir Nick Carter gives stark warning of the complex and capable security challenge for NATO. The links are going to be at the bottom. Basically, the United Kingdom is saying Russia is the biggest threat since the Cold War. And that's what the head British Army General, Sir Nick Carter, is saying. All right, so now we're going to get into the common links between Hitler and Putin and what's going on as we're heading towards World War III. All right, during World War II, before World War II, after World War I, the German Empire got split up. And Adolf Hitler was mad because the great power that Germany was, the Empire of Germany, got split up. The same thing is going through Vladimir Putin's mind. All right. The great Soviet Union got split up after the Soviet fall. All right. Hitler was in the army. And he was down during World War I, with his country. After that, he saw it was a weakness that Germany fell apart and wanted his land, his country to become mighty and powerful again. All right, and that's what led him into World War II. All right, the same thing happened with Putin. After the Cold War, the Soviet Union got disbanded, created 12, 13 other countries, unified Germany again. All right, and Putin was the head of the KGB, and he saw that as a weakness. After World War I, the similarities with Germany and Russia is that the German economy went down. Same after the Cold War, the Russian economy went down. All right. Years later, different kind of presidents, different kind of leaders came in. All right, during World War I. Now we're getting to the 1930s when Hitler took over. Now we're going to get into 2000 when Putin takes over. All right, so they had that big ego, got bashed down after World War I and the Cold War. Similarities. All right, the first thing Germany did was start building up their army again. And all Britain and France could do was just keep saying warnings, but wasn't getting involved. And let that Treaty of Versailles go, basically. They didn't care what Germany was doing because Britain was going through the Great Depression. France was. Their army was spread thin. So what Germany did during that time was build up their army. Just like right now, the whole world's economy is getting spread thin. Violence in the Middle East, Greece, Italy. You know what I'm saying, folks. All right. And what is Putin doing right now is building up the Russian army. All right. Second similarity. So both Putin and Hitler is building up their armies. All right. Now, second thing is before World War II, there was the Spain Civil War. After Germany tested out all their new equipment and all built up their new equipment, what they did was test their new equipment during the Civil War in Spain to see how strong their artilleries, their airplanes, their tanks, their U-boats were, and gave it to Spain. They weren't involved in the war, but their equipment was getting tested in Spain. Just like what's going on today in the Middle East, in Syria. All right, the Syria conflict has been going on for years, folks. All right. And Russia, China warns us, do not get involved or they're going to go to war with us. All we're doing is backing up CIA agents going in there, backing up the rebels against Syria and the onslaught from Assad. But what Assad is doing is this, is letting Russia and China testing their brand new missiles. What else Russia is doing is letting people think North Korea's coming up with all these new missiles and shooting it. What Russia is doing is also supplying North Korea, testing out new missiles. Just like Hitler was testing out his new army in Spain, even though it wasn't his army, he was just loaning it and selling stuff to Spain. The same thing Russia's doing with Syria, North Korea, and Iran now. All right. The second common thing. All right. Since Germany wanted to gain power and regain their old land, the first country they invaded was Austria. And they invaded Austria, all right, to gain back their land. And British and France didn't do nothing. All they did was talk, saying, oh, don't do it, don't do that, don't do this. And Germany, Hitler looked at them like they were weak and they don't know what they're doing and they're not going to do nothing if I invade Austria. And that's what they did. And how he invaded Austria is the same way Putin invaded Crimea. He dressed, well, Putin copy off Adolf Hitler. When he invaded Austria, what happened was he took a couple of his German soldiers, threw them into Austria, dressed them up as Australians and started shooting at Germany. So Germany came in and invaded Austria, and anxiety all Austria because most of the people were still from Germany during that time period. Just like in Crimea and Ukraine, all right, when Russia just a few years ago invaded, all right, Crimea, Georgia, was the same false flag. All they did was dress up their shoulders, attack their own Russian troops, and invade it. All right, what's going on right now, folks? All right, and I got a lot of links. We got Russian spy ships 100 miles off of North Carolina's shore. We got their airplanes buzzing our airplanes. This is just recently, too. This is January 22nd. Russian spy ship spotted 100 miles off of North Carolina coast. All right, folks, we're in a time of war. All right. And what's crazy is that this Olympic is coming up, folks. And this article right here, before we get into it, is that U.S. all right, warns Russia on Syria chemical weapons after new attack is reported. All right, the links are going to be at the bottom. All right, like I said, Hitler tests weapons in Spain. All you got to do is type it in. We're going to show you Russian involvement in Syria's civil war, the same thing. All right, the same links, folks. All right, so what we're going to talk about now is this, what's happening now. We got the 2018 Winter Olympics that's happening in Beijing, South Korea. All right, right where all this tension is with North Korea. So, you know, our military boats are over there, our nuclear blasters are over there, our nuclear bomb ships, aircraft carriers, all that stuff, getting prepared, and the Western allies, all right? I mean, all these countries are surrounded. You want to know what the only major world power country that ain't in the Winter Olympics like they should be is Russia, because most of their players use steroids and they're banned from the Olympic Games. It could be done on purpose, maybe something's happening. But what's going to happen in the next few months, next years, as we move towards World War III, we are going to see Russia doing what Hitler did, all right, was gaining land a little bit at a time. And all back then, all the allies did back then against Germany was just talk until they invaded Poland. Then they had to do something. All right, the same thing that's happening now with Russia invading Crimea, Georgia, setting up missiles on the border of North Korea, saying, oh yeah, they're ready to go into North Korea. No, the reason the Russian army's on the border of North Korea is ready. If the Americans come into North Korea, Russia is going to come right back there. That's why they're on the NATO borders. That's why the Baltic Sea right now is lined up with Russia. We're on the brinks of World War III, and this is not going down. Well, you see how Adolf Hitler did with World War II, that is what Putin's doing with World War III. All right, folks. Just be prepared. We're going to bring more videos. We're on the brinks of World War III. This is the No Face Movement, moving the movement. Please like, subscribe, follow me on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and now Viva Video. This is the movement, moving movement. Till next time, facing off.